Hello, welcome to Crushing Sounds. I'm Mike. I'm back. It's been a while, hasn't it? Happy 2020, everyone. What a great year we've been having. I'm out of work. My girlfriend's out of work. So many people are out of work. So many people are sick. But anyway, we digress. Anyway, hello, I'm Mike. I've had the opportunity now to listen to some more music, finally. Thanks to the current situation of things, I'm here in my music room. I've got my turntable and speakers and microphones and whatnot back there. So I thought I'd dive into an album from one of the biggest bands of folk metal. Of course, I'm talking about Ensiferum. They've recently released a new album called Thalassic. Who knows? Anyway, yes, I reviewed their last album, Two Paths, when it came out, when Crushing Sounds was a written review format, and I remember thinking it was alright. I quite enjoyed it, but I hadn't really dived that much into Ensiferum's sound at that point. And when I did then dive in more into their sound after hearing that album, I realised that album's actually not very good. It's fine, it's not a bad album, it's just, compared to what Ensiferum have done in the past, it's very, very bare bones, very autopilot, just not that interesting. There's some good moments on it, but overall I don't really think it's worth much of a revisit from me. So I was a bit sceptical going into this album. If you don't know, Ensiferum kind of have this trend of, if it's not broke, or even if it is broke, just don't change anything. Just play the same kind of stuff over and over again, and your fan base hopefully will just lap it up. And that's not. I'm not trying to diss on the band too much. I'm actually a big Ensiferum fan. The first three albums, the self-titled Iron and Victory Songs, I think are incredible albums. So definitely check them out regardless. But the new album, Thalassic, came out on the 10th of July, so I'm a bit late to the party. But this year actually marks the 25th anniversary of Ensiferum, so that's pretty cool. Quick lineup check. Netta Skog was in the band for a grand total of about 5 minutes. She's out. And in her place is Pekka Montin, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's on keyboards and vocals, so I'm excited. I was excited to hear what they do with it, with their new member. And in May, I believe, they released the first single off the album called Rum Women Victory. And without going too much into the song, I will get to that bit when I actually dive into the album. It got me excited. So let's press onwards and have a look at what this album offers. So it's kind of a concept album, kind of not really. It's basically all the songs are kind of kind of based around voyages out to sea. I wouldn't say pirates. This is not an Hailstorm album, who also, funny enough, released an album recently. It's okay. Chris reviewed it. Go check that out. Yeah, it's not really a Hailstorm kind of thing, despite the fact it is about the sea. It's not really pirate themed, which is good. It's more Finnish folklore based around the sea, which is cool. It works for the album. It doesn't really change musically it's still folk Ensiferum style folk metal, but they've not pirated up their music, which I liked. There's too many bands like that at the moment. Well, there's Hailstorm and there's Lagerstein and Red Rum. I think that's about it. But they all do the same thing, so we don't need any more of that. And just before I go into more specifics, the album as a whole, sound-wise, whilst it does still sound like that classic Ensiferum that we know and love, or you might not love it, it's a bit more stripped back, and by that I mean the orchestral elements, which the band have become known for, particularly on albums like From Afar or Two Paths just previously, is not as present, which I actually quite like. There's more emphasis on actually riffing on the guitar now, instead of just playing big chords and then having an orchestral swell over the top of it. So for some people this album is less epic sounding, but I would argue on the flip side of that it's more folk sounding, which is great. There's more, it almost sounds like a folk metal / traditional metal kind of album, which I'm all for. I love that kind of stuff. So let's get into some specifics. I've mentioned it a second ago. Rum Women Victory was the first song released for the album, and it's probably one of the best songs on the album. It's absolutely amazing. It highlights everything that's going on in this album. There's frantic riffs. The solo is incredible. There's a huge, amazing crowd participation inducing chorus, which when they can play live after all this madness is over, it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And also, the song showcases the awesome, awesome new clean vocals from Pekka. He is absolutely phenomenal. It's not just his range, which is amazing. His clean voice just suits folk metal so well, and his high screams, they're so well used. It's not like bands like Dragon Force or Twilight Force where the singer can sing high, so that's the only place they sit. They just stay up in that higher register. Whereas Pekka, he'll do a phrase kind of in this mid-range section, and then he'll emphasise this climactic moment with just a high-pitched scream, and it's so effective. It's brilliant. I love it. Yeah, Rum Women Victory. Awesome opener. Well, there is an opening track. Awesome first full-length track on the album. Absolutely amazing. And that carries on into songs like Run From The Crashing Tide, which it's quite a cheesy song, not gonna lie. It's not the most lyrically incredible song on the album, but it's just so good. It's same as Run With Victory. It's fast, it's frantic, the riffing is awesome. The outro, the clean vocals here are just phenomenal. I think it was on this one, and let me just recheck my notes. Yeah, on Run For The Crashing Tide, in my notes I've written, holy shit, that outro. Because there's this kind of cool rule and response between the unclean vocals and the clean vocals, and it's just getting higher and higher. Run from the crashing tide! Oh, it's phenomenal. Excuse my horrific singing. But while the sound is a bit more stripped back and more guitar riff oriented, that doesn't mean the orchestral elements are gone completely. They are still here on this album, but they're used a bit more sparingly. Ones that spring to mind, Crashing Tide has a bit of orchestral moment in its midsection. The defense of Shampoo, which by the way, every time I read that, it looks like the defense of shampoo. If that's just me, I apologise. But yeah, that's got some orchestral moments in it. That's another brilliant song. And other than the closing track, which I'll get into a bit more specifically later, another track with orchestral elements is the song One With The Sea. And speaking of One With The Sea, it brings me to really my only complaint with the album. And it's only really on two or three songs that I have this problem. And it's on One With The Sea, it's on Andromeda, and it's on the final track. These songs plod a little bit, and it's people's main criticism of Ensiferum, of all of their albums, is they do the fast, folky, epic, heavy songs really fucking well, but when they go mid-tempo and slower, they don't do it very well. They plod, they don't really go anywhere, and they're just a bit of a chore to sit through. Having said that, the only song where I thought, okay, I'm a bit bored of this now, was Andromeda, which was the second single released ahead of the album's release. That's the only song where I thought, okay, I'm tempted to skip this one. One With The Sea plods a bit, but the chorus is so good that I can get past that. It does really well for me. And we'll talk about the last song on the album now, Cold Northland. It's the longest song on the album. The first half plods. I've used the word plod a few times now, but it just does. The first half of the song is a bit slow for me, but it's almost as if the band realised this. So halfway through, they're like, "Oh, blast beat," and then it's just blast. I'm like, "Whoa, what the fuck was that? What the hell's going on?" I love blast beats, so I was just like, "This is incredible," and then the rest of the song is just amazing. It's brilliant after that. So a bit of a slow beginning to that song, but it gets very, very good. And that's pretty much the album. If you couldn't tell, I actually really, really enjoyed this album. I think it's miles better than Two Paths, which came out a few years ago. I love the emphasis on putting more of the riffs and the folky elements on the guitar, just having that more traditional heavy metal sound to it. The new clean singer Pekka is just fucking phenomenal. I love Netta Skog, and I was sad to see when she left the band. But for God's sake, Ensiferum, keep this guy. He is phenomenal. He's easily the best singer in Ensiferum now. He's really, really good. The plodding is a bit of a letdown on those few tracks, but as I said, it's only a few tracks. It's not that big a deal. And I think generally the pacing of the album is very good. The only one track I feel overstays its welcome, but for the rest of the time, songs are around 4 to 5 minutes long, which is fine, and the whole album is not that long either. I love the fact they've gone with the sea kind of concept. I actually looked into what the Defense of Champort was actually about, and it's really interesting. It's actually what the front cover of the album is based off, the story of the Defense of Champort. So go in, look into some of these stuff, because I love folklore. Chris does as well. We get a real kick out of it. So that's there for us if we want to dive a bit deeper into it. And yeah, other than the intro track, which is 3 minutes long, don't make an intro track 3 minutes long. The song lengths are really good, and yeah, I really recommend this album. I would have bought it, but the CD was £30. So yeah, go check out Ensiferum, Thalassic, best album they've done in a very long time, and I'm really glad I took the time to check it out. Yeah, hope you're all staying safe in these weird times. We'll get through it eventually. There seems to be some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Not for the live industry, but for some people. Hope you're all well. Keep listening to music. Stay heavy. See you later.